All right, here we go. This is the Nikon D5200. I'm going to just show you quick and dirty how to use the camera. This is not a set of instructions on how to take beautiful images, but instead just how to use the camera. All right, so here we go. The first thing we do is we got to put a battery in. And this is Nikon D5200A. So I want to make sure I have Nikon D5200A battery. And the battery comes in right under here. I open up this chamber that's in the handle. I slide the battery in, clicks in, I close the door. All right, I need an SD card. The SD card is going to go in the side right here. I open that up by pushing it out. If the card doesn't just go straight in nice and gently, or doesn't come out nice and gently, come and talk to me. If it gets stuck in there, I want to be the one who breaks it. I don't want to be upset with you because you break it. All right, so anyway, the card goes in there. I close the chamber. Here's the back of the camera. This has a swivel screen. I'm actually going to, I like to operate generally with the screen facing the back like that. All right, so I'm going to turn on the camera by coming over here and flipping the on switch to on. Immediately what pops up in the back, actually that won't always be the case. What you want to do is this dial right here, you want to have set to M. So the M is where the white dot is. The M's not over here, the M is where the white dot is, and that's important. And that will give us this screen back here. If I'm at a different setting, I might not get the right screen. What frequently happens is students will have it in auto and it will say lens not attached and they don't know what to do, and that's because they're not in M. So I'm in M, there I am. I'm going to look back here. I'm going to go ahead and go into the menu settings. The first thing I want to do is there's a little icon of a camera over here. There's lots of icons, but we want to find the one with the camera, and we want to go into movie settings. And we just want to make sure that manual movie settings are on. I can change the microphone sensitivity. I can change the movie quality. Pretty much you always want to shoot in high. And you can also change your frame size and frame rate. And what we want to mainly use in this class is 24p. Okay, that's 24 frames per second, or 30p, which is 30 frames per second. And that P stands for progressive, by the way. And then you also have 60. And I, and that stands for 60 interlaced. And if I want to make a film, I'm going to shoot in 24p. All right. And then to get back to this screen, I push the I, and you notice I'm at 1/50th of a second. And to change my shutter speed, I move this dial right here. And really, if you want your shutter speed to be roughly double what your frame rate was. So if my frame rate is 24p, I want my shutter speed ideally to be right around 1/50th of a second. And if I was shooting in 30p, I would prefer my shutter speed to be 1/60th of a second. You'll see sometimes you'll pick up the camera and you'll see the shutter is at like 1/16th hundredth of a second. And that's because people don't really know what they're doing. All right, so you make sure you're keeping your shutter speed. Because I'm shooting at 24 frames per second, I'm going to put my shutter speed at 1/50th of a second. All right, we're going to skip the aperture for just a moment and come back to that. I want to show you the ISO. So right now the ISO is set to 400. The easiest way to change your ISO is by pushing this FN button on the side. FN stands for function. And when I push that button, when I hold it down, notice the ISO becomes highlighted, and I can just scroll this scroll wheel and choose an ISO. On this particular camera, you don't want to go above 1600 ISO if you can get away with it. And lower is always better. All right, so let's just leave it at ISO 400 for now. And then our aperture. How do we change our aperture? Well, this camera has a manual focus lens on it. This is an older lens and it doesn't communicate electronically with the camera. And so you have to change the aperture manually. And right here on the camera lens is the aperture. and you change your aperture by moving this ring. It's called the aperture ring, by moving the aperture ring. So f2.8 lets in more light, f16 lets in less light, and then this is the focus ring. So this is how you make your image in focus. All right, so that's how you the basics of shooting. I do want to talk about white balance real quick. White balance is kind of the orange tint or maybe the greenish tint that you have in your video. And what you want to do is you want to have your white balance as close to accurate as possible. So I come down here, and if I want to choose the white balance, I push that I again. I can select white balance, push OK, and I have some presets. There's auto, where the camera does the thinking for you. Incandescent, if you're around an incandescent light, fluorescent lights, sunlight, shade, clouds, and flash. And I'm in a computer lab right now with fluorescent lights, so I'll go with fluorescent lighting as my white balance preset. And like I said, you want to get the color of your image as accurate as you can in your DSLR. All right, so that is, I'm going to double check. I'm at 1/50th of a second, ISO 400. My aperture is at, let's go to 5.6, and let's shoot a little video. So I'm going to swivel my screen out. To put it into live view mode to record, there's a little lever right here that I pull. Here goes my video. In fact, I can open up my aperture just a little bit. I can adjust my focus. And when I'm ready to record, I push this button with the red dot on it. All right, and I'm recording. So that's how you use the D5200.